The wind moved through the terraced streets of Westbourne like a whisper that no one wanted to hear. In a small upstairs room, a computer screen glowed blue against the dark, revealing fragments of conversations that had long since turned poisonous. Words once harmless, "You're special," "I understand you," "Don't tell anyone," had become snares. There was no single moment when innocence vanished. It eroded message by message. For months, a man hid behind shifting usernames, constructing a world of secrecy, praise, and quiet control. Detective Inspector Clara Wynn, returning from another domestic violence call-out, would remember this night for years. The smell of cold rain, the way her phone buzzed with a digital crime alert from the National Crime Agency. The case name was ordinary then, Operation Silkwire. It would later become synonymous with one of the most chilling prosecutions of the decade. For Lily Markham, 13 felt like standing between two mirrors. Her childhood still visible behind her, adulthood just a reflection ahead. Her mother, Helen Markham, worked double shifts at the local hospital. Lily spent evenings online, drawing, chatting, drifting through the endless warmth of social media. That was where she met Kaidev_84. He said he liked her art, the way she drew sky whales and impossible cities. He said he was 20, studying design. His words were gentle, spelled correctly, laced with emojis that felt safe. Every message arrived with the weight of someone who noticed. At first, it was thrilling. Then it became ritual, school, home messages. Kai encouraged her to share sketches, then feelings, then photographs. Nothing indecent, not yet, just connection. By the time Helen noticed Lily's grades slipping, the web was already spun. Kai had shifted from friend to secret. He spoke about loyalty, about how adults wouldn't understand. When he suggested using Snapchat for privacy, Lily agreed, unaware that the very feature designed to vanish messages would hide evidence for months. In Westbourne CID, Clara Wynn reviewed incident reports that rarely crossed into the digital realm. But an email from a school counselor flagged something. A student's friend had mentioned strange messages, late-night calls, threats to self-harm if blocked. Wynn called the school liaison officer. "We're not sure, but it sounds like grooming," the counselor said. The detective opened her laptop, logged into the cyberforensics portal, and began tracing usernames. Kaidev_84 appeared across 3 platforms. Behind it, multiple aliases, a VPN, an IP trail pointing to a rented flat registered to Carl Davison. By the end of the week, a digital warrant was signed. Clara assembled her team, briefed the tech unit, and told herself, as she always did, keep the victim in mind. Not the monster. When they raided Davison's flat, the stench of stale coffee and electronics filled the air. Drives, tablets, spare phones, all neatly labeled. It was the orderliness that chilled her most. Predators who believed they'd never be caught often kept meticulous archives. The evidence filled an entire table, terabytes of screenshots, chat logs, saved photos. Each file was a breadcrumb of psychological manipulation. Clara read lines that began with affection and ended with threats. "Promise me you'll never talk to other boys. If you leave, I'll hurt myself. You make me feel real." Forensics reconstructed deleted content. Audio notes, coerced video calls, instructions disguised as games. He had convinced Lily to harm herself to prove loyalty. The prosecution team from the Crown Prosecution Service arrived with grim expressions. Under the new Online Safety Act, digital coercion now carried heavier penalties. Clara briefed them. "We're looking at grooming, coercive control, and incitement of self-harm, all aggravated by the victim's age." Outside the station, Helen waited with folded arms and sleepless eyes. "Is she safe?" she asked. "She will be," Clara said. "But healing takes longer than evidence." Lily spoke to police psychologists in a softly lit room that smelled faintly of peppermint. She clutched a stuffed whale, a gift from Clara's own daughter, on loan for bravery. She described the months of confusion. How Kai's voice sounded kind at first, how shame crept in like fog when she realized he wasn't who he claimed to be. Every word was recorded, every tremor documented. The digital age left no fingerprints, but it left echoes. When the CPS formally charged Carl Davison, the news rippled through Westbourne. The tabloids called him the sinister groomer. Clara avoided headlines. She'd seen how sensationalism distorted survival into spectacle. Yet something about this case felt different. It wasn't just justice, it was a reckoning with a new kind of predator, one who never needed to leave his chair. The courtroom smelled of varnish and old paper. Carl Davison sat in the dock wearing a plain gray suit, head bowed as the charges were read. His lawyer's voice wavered between denial and resignation. Lily wasn't in the gallery that day. By legal protection, her testimony was pre-recorded. But her presence hung in the room through the quiet strength of her words. Clara watched from the back, every sentence of evidence recalling the long nights of decoding and waiting. The judge referenced the Online Safety Act, its clauses on digital manipulation, coercion, and grooming. This case, he said, illustrates how cruelty adapts to technology. So must justice. Davison blinked, lips pressed thin. When the sentence came, 20 years imprisonment, there was no outburst, no apology. Only the hollow silence of someone finally disconnected. After the verdict, Clara walked out into a drizzle that blurred the courthouse steps. Helen and Lily waited nearby, a small island of quiet amidst the camera flashes. Lily's face was older somehow, not by years but by understanding. "Is it really over?" she asked. "It's over for him," Clara said. "For you, it's the start of something better." They talked about school, art, small plans. When Lily showed a new sketch, a sky whale carrying a cracked laptop toward the clouds, Clara smiled. Healing had its own language. Later, in her office, Clara closed the case file labeled Davison, Carl, Operation Silkwire. She pressed archive. On her screen, the blue glow faded to black. Months later, the flat above the florist was quieter. The scent of fresh blooms drifted upward as Helen arranged lilies, a small tribute to her daughter's name and her courage. Lily now attended therapy once a week, rediscovered her love for art, and occasionally spoke to youth groups about online safety. She didn't tell her story to shock, she told it to warn. For Clara, new cases arrived daily, each echoing the same pattern in new disguises. But sometimes, when she passed a mural downtown, painted by Lily, a cascade of blue whales rising from shattered screens, she allowed herself a private smile. Justice, she thought, was never perfect, but it was real. And in the quiet of Westbourne, the glow of another screen waited, somewhere, to test how vigilant the world had become.